Good afternoon, Manitoba. I'm Larry McIntosh, and I'll be your host for the next hour. Normally, our show airs on Saturday mornings from 8 to 9, but we have been honored of being asked to do a special show today. Thank you for tuning in to Food and Friends. Every year, we should take time to remember the thousands of men and women who have sacrificed their lives in military service. In view of the tragic events that took place in Quebec and Ottawa almost 3 weeks ago, it is especially important this year. Please take a moment to pay tribute to the memory of those who have died, cherish those who have suffered injury, and recognize those who have dedicated themselves to the protection of our freedom and human dignity. My guest this morning is Christy Dzikowicz, Director of MissingKids.ca. Good morning, Christy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Well, we should probably explain, I should say good afternoon, Christy. We should probably explain that MissingKids.ca is part of a bigger program. Maybe explain a little bit about what Missing Kids is.
Yeah, well, MissingKids.ca is a website associated with our National Missing Children Services that's based here out of Winnipeg. And we were actually born from Child Find Manitoba way back when. And a lot of folks in Manitoba still really recognize the Child Find Manitoba name because we've provided a really important service here in this province, and we continue to do so. But we now are a larger organization called the Canadian Centre for Child Protection, and we're privileged to be able to deliver programs and services right across Canada and in some cases around the world to better protect children.
So MissingKids.ca is a website, right, which features, unfortunately, kids that are missing and some information on what to do if that happens, right?
Yeah, we call it sort of our resource center for missing children on missing children's issues because it certainly has a database, and it's the most popular part of our website, which is exactly what we want. We want people to come in, look at the website, look at the images of missing children, the stories, and we're working hard to turn it more into the stories and the backgrounds for each of these missing children and get involved in the search, if not to locate those children, to honor them because they are missing. But the website has more than that in terms of prevention and education, and it's really a gathering spot on the issue where anybody can come in and figure out how to get involved, how they can help, or what they can do if they're concerned about something.
And I visited the website on the weekend, and I haven't been there for a while, and as you scan down and look at all those kids' pictures, there's way too many children that are missing.
There is, and I think one of the things that we're really hoping to do, because a lot of the ones that you're seeing on our website tend to be the longer term missing children. We profile the more current cases or the emerging cases in different ways. But in terms of those longer term cases, when you come back hopefully over the next number of months, you're going to see very different. If you go to MyToba.ca, we have a URL for one case in Canada, a very well-known case, and there's a lot more information, and it really helps people to understand these aren't just pictures, right? These are children who come from families. They have friends. They have communities. They have teachers who miss them. They have all those types of things because it's easy for us to forget that when we're walking by posters on a regular basis. So we're looking to create all those, the images that you see on our website right now, turn them into profile pages where people can learn a bit more about those children and why it is absolutely critical that we stay connected and involved as a community.
And on the website, what I found interesting is certainly there's featuring the children, which is obviously what you would expect. But there's also things about what you can do as a community to support the parents and some other things on there that I found got to be good resources.
Absolutely. And you know what? For parents, you might not realize it because you think, if a child's missing, it's just so devastating. But for parents that we work with, they're so grateful when community gets involved and when they show an interest, because you know what, when cases happen in the news and everybody's very aware of what's happening and there's a massive search for a child, most of the time we locate them. I mean, that's the good news. When we don't, there's nothing more tragic for a parent than seeing the time where the media stories start becoming a little bit more few and far between, the interest becoming a little bit less, friends and family not knowing what to say and that sort of thing. So a lot of times people try to be really delicate with families when they really want you to know about their kids. They really want you to talk to them about their kids, and they want to know that people are looking for them. So when they hear us talking on the news or doing whatever stories or outreach we can do, it's really encouraging because we know that works, and we know that we can find kids even if it's been a very long time.
And we've had a relationship, Peak of the Market and Child Find, going into MissingKids.ca, where we feature a missing child on our recipe every Tuesday and Thursday, our recipe emails that go out. Is that the important thing, getting that picture out there to various communities to help help find them? Is that
Yeah, and I think for a variety of reasons. I think it's important because families feel very good about that, right? Whenever we do that, our caseworkers forward those actual recipes to the family and say, this is who it went to. We're always checking with you to see how many people are receiving it so that we can tell a parent that, because it means a lot to them. So I think doing that's really important for that legacy piece of it, but also because, kids go missing for a variety of reasons. And, you hit the right person on the right day and they're willing to come forward with the right piece of information. And that's when you find missing kids. So it is a shot in the dark in some cases, but the reality is if you're the parent of a missing child, you'll take that shot. You'll take the 1 in a million that you're going to hit the person on the right day, that they're going to come forward and say, I know somebody who said something funny once at a party, or someone saying it's time that I tell somebody something that I did or a role that I had. It's really critical that we don't stop, because there's too many really long-standing cases that get solved by something as simple as that.
And for the recipes, we were talking off air before we came on, that our recipes go out to about 3.8 million times a year. So, obviously the same people are getting it many times. We have about 47,000 subscribers in Canada. Yeah. So, but you never know where that's going to click in, or where, whether it's a poster or the website, or
where someone's going to say, oh my gosh, they're still looking for her. And the time is right in their life that they come forward. Everybody's lives change. Somebody who was, somebody's boyfriend 10 years ago maybe isn't anymore, and, feels differently about information they may hold.
We'll be right back with Christy from MissingKids.ca right after we take this break for your 680 CJOB weather update. Welcome back to Food and Friends. Normally our show airs on Saturday mornings from 8 to 9, but we had the honor of being asked to do a special show today. I hope you'll join us on Saturday mornings. I really hope that you've had an opportunity to see Peak of the Market's new Sesame Street potato and onion bags when you visited the produce section in your local store. They're bright and colorful and feature some of your favorite characters like Elmo, Big Bird, Bert, Ernie, Grover, Oscar, and Abby. Along with the characters, you'll still see the Peak of the Market logo, so you're guaranteed it is growing right here in Manitoba. We are so pleased to partner with Sesame Street on this Eat Brighter program. I also want to encourage you, if you happen to be in Winnipeg, drive by Peak of the Market at 1200 King Edward Street to see our Sesame Street characters in our building. It's not very often you see a big bird 18 feet high. We're back with Christy Dzikowicz, Director of Canadian Centre for Child Protection. So, MissingKids.ca, Cyber Tips, you have a lot of different websites within the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. Mm-hmm. But you made an announcement with this Mrs. Harper 2-3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think one of the things that we operate cybertip.ca, which is Canada's tip line for the reporting of online child exploitation. And when we look at what we set that tip line up for, 12 years ago, was to really receive reports of child exploitation, like child pornography and some of the, more difficult things that we deal with in society. And that was the vast majority of our reports. But we also are in a position, operating that tip line, to see some of the emerging trends. And one of the things that's been very concerning to us over the last 5-6 years is noticing that we were, instead of the expected adults coming in to say, I came across some concerning content online, we were having young people coming in saying, not only am I the victim, but they're the reporting person too. So they're saying there's a photo of me and it's gotten out there, and they're often very, very troubled about that. So we started to see the collision between online behavior, some of the bullying things that we hear a lot about. And initially we were sort of a little removed from the bullying. That's not our space. It's not our forte. We deal with child exploitation, missing children, those sorts of things. But there really is quite a connection. So we kind of jumped in and created a number of resources to help, on one side, to help youth navigate through some of those complex situations, and the other side to help schools and resource officers and those types of folks navigate through. So most recently, what we were thrilled to do was to produce new educational modules to be delivered right across Canada for grades 7 and 8 and for 9 and 10s. And that kind of piggybacks off of the Kids in the Know program we have, which is a child safety curriculum going from kindergarten right through to grade 9. But these are new and emerging issues that we felt we had to kind of dive in and give schools and parents resources to sort of talk to their kids about. So for grades 7 and 8, we're talking about, cyberbullying and those types of issues, dealing with concerns around exploitation online and those kinds of pieces. And then the 9-10 gets a little more complex, talking about things like sexual consent within youth populations and that kind of stuff. So it's really important resources. We've got resources for kids as well. And the federal government actually, very interestingly, last year, with the birth of Prince George, the government of Canada's gift to the royal baby, they wanted donations as opposed to gifts, was a donation to our organization as their gift to the royal couple. So we were able to use that money and leverage that money to develop these new resources that will be distributed in Canada.
And that's incredible. I mean, you're involved in children's in so many ways, and bullying is certainly something. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking the internet's a wonderful thing in so many ways. We rely on it every day. You use it to help promote missing kids and information. On the other hand, you have the problem of bullying on the internet because it's easy to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think we're just playing catch up. It's not, it's just another environment. It's just, it kind of crept up on us and we didn't really deal with it in the way we are managing kids, right? I mean, from the time our kids are little, we give them all kinds of information about safety. And internet safety and the way we behave online isn't something that we did a great job of initially because we didn't know where it was going. We had no way to expect what has happened in terms of the way all of us are using, the online world to navigate. So, when we talk about that a lot, we sort of equate it to, seatbelt safety, right? Mm-hmm. When your child's 4, you don't say, wear your seatbelt and then never say it again and then act shocked when they're 16 and they don't put on their seatbelt, right? It's something that's reiterated, it's something that's talked about. So we need to stay current with what's going on and really help, give our kids the information to help them navigate. And I think one of the concerns, one of the mistakes that we made unknowingly and understandably, all of us, is when it comes to things like picture taking. So for a long, long time, we said, don't send a picture because once it's out there forever, right? And that was really kind of beaten into the heads of kids because we never anticipated that it was actually going to become something that a lot of kids are doing it. It's a reality. I won't say all kids, of course. But we can't just make it as simple as that because it's actually not even true. There's lots of things that can happen. There's a lot of remedies if it does happen. We certainly don't want kids to be sending inappropriate pictures of themselves. That's not something we encourage. But if it happens, it's also not the end of the world, right? And unfortunately, we know too many cases across Canada where young people are left feeling like it is the end of the world. So we need to do a bit of correction on that side where, yes, we want to prevent and we want to have kids making good decisions. But any of those decisions, there's lots of remedies and kids will get through it. And so we have a website called MyToba.ca that is really for youth that helps them navigate through, how do I get content taken down, pictures taken down from social media sites, all those types of things. And how do I kind of seek out help and support if it's gone wrong.
Is that getting a lot of traffic, for lack of better words? Is that getting a lot of uptake?
Yeah, it's a huge, it's funny because we do so many big things and you're fully aware of those, right? We have National Missing Children Service. We are Canada's tip line for the reporting of online exploitation. We have curriculums that go into schools right across Canada. But I think because this was such an emerging need where schools were panicking, going, I don't know how to deal with this. Parents were saying, I don't know how to deal with this. Law enforcement was struggling with it because they were saying, I don't want to run out and be arresting kids. I want to catch the bad guys that are really trying to do harm. But everybody was trying to figure out how to navigate the issue. And we were, I wouldn't say we were ahead of it because we're never ahead of the problems, unfortunately. But we might have been a bit more ahead because we're receiving those reports in real time. So we were kind of saying, how are we going to manage this? We're not set up to manage this either. So it's met a need. It's it's an important program, but it's just one of our programs. And yet people are really, really responding and schools are wanting it really, really bad. And we're getting great support from law enforcement across Canada in terms of using it as school resource officers.
We'll be right back with Christy from the Canadian Centre for Child Protection after this break. Welcome back to Food and Friends. Normally our show airs on Saturday mornings from 8 to 9, but we had the honor of being asked to do this special show today. I hope you'll join us on Saturday mornings. It's time for a recipe segment called Now We're Cooking. Now, you don't need to write this recipe down, as it's today's recipe of the day at peakmarket.com, so just go to our website. You can get all the information there. Today's recipe is tangy garlic salad. Tangy garlic salad. Here's what you need for the recipe. 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 1/4 cup of plain yogurt, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1/4 cup of green onions chopped, 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, and half a cup of spiral pasta cooked and drained. 1 red pepper cut into thin strips, 1 zucchini cut into julienne strips, and 2 carrots cut into julienne strips. For best results, use Manitoba-grown carrots. In a large bowl, combine the mayonnaise, yogurt, lemon juice, olive oil, onions, and garlic salt. In a medium bowl, combine the pasta and vegetables mixed lightly. Add the dressings and toss together, and refrigerate for at least 30 minutes before serving. And this recipe serves 4. All of the recipes on our website or in the newspaper have both metric and imperial measurements. And again, you can get this recipe at peakmarket.com today. We'll be right back with Christy Dzikowicz from the the Canadian Centre for Child Protection right after we take this break for your 680 CJB News, Sports and Weather. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Food and Friends. Normally our show airs on Saturday mornings from 8 to 9, but we had the honor of being asked to do a special show today. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you'll join us on Saturday mornings. Peak of the Market has a mobile recipe app that works on your smartphone or iPad. It's available absolutely free through Apple, Android, or the BlackBerry World app stores, or via peakmarket.com. If you haven't downloaded it yet, all you have to do is go to any of these sites and search for Peak Recipes. Here's a few features of our app. Over 4,000 recipes at your fingertips. No internet connection required. So basically, you download it once. Doesn't take a lot of memory on your phone or iPad, but it's there. You don't need the internet connection afterwards. You can do a recipe search using any combination of keywords like potatoes and chicken, or ingredients, or meal types, or all of the above. Measurements are both in metric and imperial. You can rate the recipes you like by number of carrots and add the ones you like to your favorite list so you can find them quickly next time. Add the recipes to a shopping list. Add notes to the recipes like Larry's favorite. You have font resizing of directions for easier reading. You can make it bigger. And what I think is important is no in-app advertising. There's absolutely no ads in the app. You're just going to have recipes and ways to search them in shopping lists. We're very excited with our mobile recipe app, so please download it and give it a try. We're back with Christy, Director of Canadian Centre for Child Protection. So we're talking during the news there about Mrs. Harper and how involved she is, and maybe just tell us a little bit about that. She came out for a media conference, or
she's been out a few times actually. She's been a very, very big supporter, and I think what we were talking about earlier in terms of some of the issues that youth are now facing. She's got adolescent children, and so I think that one just hit her. And so we'd had a number of opportunities kind of intersect and our paths crossed. But with the passing of Amanda Todd and Rehtaeh Parsons, 2 very big cases in this country, I think she just felt really fed up and really wanted to do something. So she had just sort of been to our office, and we'd been going through what we were planning to do with Need Help Now, the website for youth. We hadn't yet kicked it off. And with hearing the news of those 2 stories, she reached out directly and said, we need to make sure every kid in this country knows about this resource. And she's just been an unbelievable champion. We see her out doing media interviews, and we don't know she's doing them, and she really knows the resources inside and out. So we're really grateful for the support, and it's really authentic support. So I think that's what's most valuable, because she just sees it every day. And I think we notice that when we intersect with all kinds of people. It's like, your kids are at a certain age and you relate to one of the issues kids face, and it's concerning. But I think that kind of help in terms of building people's awareness is huge.
And certainly building the awareness through her name and the Prime Minister's office, so to speak, has to help raise that awareness, and the money obviously helped. But it's all about getting the word out there. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that your organization is based right here in Manitoba. Absolutely.
I think that's one of the interesting things is people in our backyard don't necessarily know. And I think maybe, part of that is our problem. We need to work through that, because we've been, doing a lot of building of our programs and really extending our outreach. And need to make sure that folks here aren't confused, because like I said, the Child Find name is so loved, and it should be. When you consider our original roots that you know very well from Wilma Dirksen founding our organization after her daughter Candace went missing. That's really important to us, that people know that legacy, but also it's really important to us that people know what that legacy now represents. Her efforts to create this organization 30 years ago, after her daughter went missing, and wanting there to be more resources there for other families who are going through something. We're really proud that Candace is at the core of what we do, and yet now we're reaching people literally right around the world, and certainly from coast to coast in this country, with such a variety of programs to protect children. So I think it's really important that we continue to talk to Manitobans and let them know. as a Manitoban, even though I work there at the organization, I'm really proud that we're located in Winnipeg and in Manitoba. We're proud of our roots, and there aren't a whole lot of national charities based here in Winnipeg. So we bring a lot of great people in. We work with all levels of government, but we've had meetings with the Prime Minister here in Winnipeg several times now, and had him to our building. National Chief Atleo, before he stepped down, was a huge champion and was able to come to our building. So I think we need to continue to build awareness here in our province and right across Canada.
It's something we can be very proud of that's located right here that helps people across Canada for sure, but around the world. And how many co-workers do you have there?
I think right now we're about 45.
Is that right?
Which is
Wow.
pretty. We do a lot of work out of a very small building. We put out a lot of resources. We put out millions of pieces of educational material right across Canada. And actually, we're really well set up in a way. Being based in Manitoba, we've received unbelievable support from the province. So most of the programs that we now deliver right across Canada, we receive seed funding from the province of Manitoba or the Winnipeg Foundation, and that kind of grassroots support to kind of get things off the ground, pilot it here at home, and then take it right across the country. So, we're really proud of that, and we're really grateful for the support that the province has given us to let that happen. And I think we're well positioned here. Kids in the Know, the curriculum that we offer is in every school division in Manitoba. That's not the case right across Canada, not yet, right? It's certainly in every province. It's certainly we have tons and tons of schools using it right across the country. But in Manitoba, it's in every single school division.
And that's tough getting it in part of the curriculum, if that's the proper words. That takes time, but have it in every school in Manitoba. It's pretty amazing.
And I think just to have the opportunity to kick things off here, to pilot them here, to get the buy-in here, and then share that. We have some really great champions that have done a lot of great things for us in this province.
How long have you been there?
I've been there for 7 years now.
7 years?
Yeah.
And the organization's been around how long?
Well, it's going to be our 30th anniversary in April, so we're going to be celebrating and marking that, and really, I think, taking the opportunity to reach out to those groups and stakeholders and funders and all those people that have really allowed us to do the work that we're doing today, and make it a celebration of all the people that have participated in the success of the organization, and really to re-engage people. We have a lot more work to do, and we know that, and we're committed to doing it, so we want to make sure our partners know how important they've been to us, and that they'll stay with us.
And we've been involved with you for the last at least 7 years, because I think we started with you. But and you guys have done amazing things as far as adding programs, getting the word out, helping parents in unfortunate situations. It's kind of an amazing thing that you guys are doing there.
Well, I think it's really interesting because we've grown and we do great national work, but we've stayed small. It's like we're big and we're small at the same time. We were just talking about that today. We have services where we're working directly with families while we're doing big national prevention and education programming. So it keeps us sort of drawn into our roots, where we have families going through some of the worst things you could imagine, and that's what's driving us to continue. We're having kids, like I said, phoning in who are considering suicide because they think their life is over, and we're working with them through that, and they're helping us learn and navigate through. Okay, now what are people dealing with across the country? So I think those things have contributed to us being able to stay on top of it, but also just we've been really willing, and we've got good leadership and a great board who are really willing to let us drop things that don't work anymore, stay current, and try to stay with the times and reshape our program so that we're actually having an impact where we need to. We've made lots of substantial changes over the years, and we've dropped things that we used to like doing, but we don't do things just because we always have.
Right.
And I think that's what's kept things sort of moving in the right direction. And we need to have more people jump on the bus and kind of work with us across Canada to do that. But I think we continue to work smarter. For the number of people we have, we get a lot done. But I think a lot of that is because we do have so many people helping us with our work, and Peak is one of them. So we need to make sure that those folks know what they're contributing so that they stay with us and really help us meet our goals.
We'll be right back with Christy from the Canadian Centre for Child Protection after we take this break. Welcome back to Food and Friends. Normally our show airs on Saturday mornings from 8 to 9. We had the honor of being asked to do this special show today. I hope you'll join us on Saturday mornings. If you're involved in a school or daycare fundraiser in some way, I hope you have registered for the Farm to School Manitoba fundraiser. This fundraiser is open to all Manitoba schools and licensed daycares anywhere in Manitoba. Basically, the fundraiser works like this. Students sell bundles of Manitoba-grown vegetables to raise money for their school or daycare. Bundle A has carrots, cooking onions, and red potatoes, and it sells for $10. And Bundle B has larger packs of carrots, red potatoes, and cookie onions, as well as green cabbage and parsnips, and it sells for $20. Each bundle comes with a reusable grocery bag that's great when you go shopping. The outstanding thing about this fundraiser is the school or daycare keeps half the selling price, a 50% profit, which is great for any fundraiser. Last year, this fundraiser raised over $400,000 for Manitoba schools and daycares. That's what they kept for their fundraiser. The fundraiser runs until December 12th, which is only a month away, and it's open to any school anywhere in Manitoba. And if you're interested in getting more information, please visit the Farm to School fundraiser website, which is MyToba.ca, or we have a link from our website at peakmarket.com. We're back with Christy Dzikowicz, Director of the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. So I wanted to ask you, you talked about some government funding. Are you funded entirely by the different governments, or do you look for the public to fund, or how's it all work?
No, we do receive funding from the federal government, and that accounts for part of our budget. But we raise more than half of our budget. We raise ourselves, so we get great support for CyberTip.ca as an example through some partners like Bell Canada and TELUS and Shaw, and lots of really great private sector support. And then we accept donations from the public. And I think one of the things we're trying to do is remind people more and more that we are a children's charity. On the missing children side in particular, we don't receive any operational funding from the government at all. So we do rely exclusively on private sector sponsors and donations. And really, we work in a space where it's the more resources you have, the more you can do. So I feel very privileged that I'm working for the organization at a point in time where I have full-time staff who work and support families every minute of their day. That's what they do. They're on the phones. Where it was only, not very long ago when I first started even, where, we were kind of jack of all trades and involved in the fundraising space and doing all those things while we're supporting families. So we've received really great support so far. But like I said, the more support we get, the better we can do, and the more we can do for children right across Canada.
So what's the website if people are interested in making a donation or getting more information?
The main website, we have lots, as you know. The main website for the organization is protectchildren.ca. So if you come into protectchildren.ca, there's actually a really great video, a take action video, animated video that you can watch that really kind of walks you through the scope of the issues that we deal with in a way that's palatable and really well done. And then you can donate money right online if people want to make a donation, or you can find other ways to get involved if that's not your choice. There's lots of ways for people to get engaged, and really what we want to send a message to to Canadians, to Manitobans, is that when it comes to the protection and safety of children, whether it's missing children or otherwise, we want people to get involved and make it their business. I think we, for too long, have moved towards sort of a society of mind your own business, and when it comes to the safety and well-being of children, you can't. Right.
So how would I or somebody in the public get involved? Obviously, we can make a donation. We could check out the website. But is there something we should be doing in our day-to-day lives?
Well, I think there's many things. I think there's a lot of I imagine that there's a lot of conversations at dinner tables where, a husband or a wife is coming home saying something that they saw that day, didn't sit well, whether they saw a child that they thought maybe at risk, or they saw something in the newspaper in terms of a missing child. But instead of just kind of feeling badly, because most of us care, and that's the good news, right? They don't really take that step, or they don't really accept that they could actually be the difference, right? Like, call the police if they see a concern, call child protection if they see a concern. If you see a missing child notification come out from Winnipeg Police, have a real look at that child and her face. Even if you think you've seen it before, we have lots of chronic runaways in our province. It's a real challenge, but those kids are most at risk. And we know of really sad cases recently that prove that. So while I believe that a lot of people look at those pictures and say, oh, that's really sad, what we need is for them to look at the pictures and say, you know what, today on my drive home from work, I'm just going to keep my eyes open. Or when I'm at Portage Place or Polo Park, I'm going to keep my eyes open. And if I see someone that looks like that child, I'll call the police, because that's what they're asking me to do. And they're asking me to do that for a reason, because they really do believe, I can help.
And I've told the story before. Shelley and I spotted a person that we thought was missing, a senior person, a senior citizen. And we called the non-emergency police line. They were great about it. They actually sent the fire department out to check it out. It wasn't the person that was missing. But that's my firsthand experience of making that call. And they investigated, they appreciated it. And you never know what's going to happen, right?
You don't know. And if we had all the time in the world, we could talk about a million stories that are just so remarkable, where a great discovery has happened because one person took the time to trust their gut and make a call. And you know what? It can mean all the difference for a kid. It can make all the difference for a family.
So if you were to tell us what we should be doing, what's your number one advice? Just be observant?
I'd say, yeah, take an interest and give yourself permission, right? You don't have to be right. Right. You don't have to be right. If you have a gut instinct, if you have a concern, if you feel worried about a child, if you're a teacher, a child in your classroom, if you're in a community, a child in your community, make the call. We have professionals out there, and that's their job to sort through. The police, it's their job to sort through whether there's a child at risk. Child welfare, it's their job to do it, but they can't do their jobs unless the public is the eyes and ears and alerts them. So I'd say give yourself permission. Don't worry about feeling like maybe I'm being judgmental or I'm doing this. When it comes to the safety of children, we can't afford that. You can make the call and someone else will make the final determination.
And I think that's important because I would say people don't want to be calling, be embarrassed that they're wrong. But if you do that, you might miss an opportunity to help someone.
Absolutely. On the missing children, all on both sides, through cybertip.ca and through MissingKids.ca, people can report anonymously to us too. So if they really don't have a comfort level calling their local services, they can go in through the tip line through cybertip.ca, or they can anonymously report information through Missing Kids as well. And then we can forward that information on to police. What's important is that we have adults out there keeping their eyes on kids, and we sort of go back to a sense of community that used to exist.
We'll be right back with Christy from the Canadian Centre for Child Protection after this break. Welcome back to Food and Friends. My guest next Saturday will be Garth Rogerson, CEO of the Red River Exhibition Association. Garth Rogerson, CEO, Red River Exhibition Association. There's lots of things happening out of the Red River X, and he's going to talk about that. So it'll be interesting to hear. We're back with Christy from the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. So we're just wrapping up our last segment here. If people want to get more information, make donations, what's the main website to go to?
www.protectchildren.ca.
Protectchildren.ca. And from there, you can go to CyberTip and
check out the Missing Children's Program. There's lots of free resources for download for parents from the Kids in the Know portion. But you can really spend some time navigating through there and grabbing some information and building that information into your life.
Thanks for being on Food and Friends.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, and please don't forget to eat your veggies.